Network of the US. We then have Dr. Hannah Albana, who is lecturer at Northumbria University, London, and International Initiatives Manager at Global One, and was also listed among the 100 most influential people in the MENA region for both 2020 and 2021. And we have Dr. Hayu Prabowo, who is chairman of the Environmental and Natural Resources Agency of the Indonesian Ulema Council. And he has initiated 6 fatwas on environmental issues and is currently finalizing the fatwa on climate change. And we have Dr. Fakhruddin Mangunjaya, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but he will be joining us virtually later, who is lecturer and chair of the Center for Islamic Studies at the Universitas Nacional. And finally, the session is organized by Interfaith Power and Light, which is a faith-based organization mobilizing people of faith towards climate action. It's active in 50 states in the US and has reached 22,000 communities of faith. And we are the Leave It in the Ground initiative, who are also organizing this event. And you might have seen us walking around with the dugongs and dugong stickers, but today we're here with Fossil-Free Zones, which is a bottom-up climate action matrix, which recognizes places that have ended the burning or extracting of coal, oil, or gas. And we believe that this is a very easy framing to link into and something to visualize the path to break away from our addiction to fossil fuels. And so if there are any members of Fossil-Free Zones here in the audience, I would encourage to reach out to us after the session and are welcome to join this growing network. And we are partners with Ummah for Earth. It's an alliance-led initiative empowering Muslim communities facing crisis and promoting a faith-based sense of environmental stewardship. So now, enough from me. Reverend Susan and Dr. Hayu will share a passage of their choosing, portraying a teaching from their own faith relating to environmental stewardship. And I would please like to give the word to Dr. Hayu first. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a very honor for me to talk in front of you. We begin with grateful praise of God, the Lord of all beings. In the Islamic teachings, this universe is seen as a manifestation of universal forces encompassing both physical and metaphysical realms. Understanding the essence of its existence, Islam places profound importance on the various levels of creation, emphasizing the hierarchical nature of the world. According to Islamic teaching, the natural world is hierarchical structure comprising different levels of existence. This level includes minerals, plants, animals, and humans, each of its unique places and purpose within the grand tapestry of creation. The hierarchical signifies not just physical distinctions, but also metaphysical realities, acknowledging the intrinsic value and purpose assigned to each level. God says that I'm going to place successive human custodians on earth. It is in the Al-Baqarah chapter verse 30. Human is created by God as vicegerent on earth who carry out the mandate and is responsible for the prosperity of all creatures. This divine appointment calls upon individuals to recognize their role as caretakers, emphasizing the ethical and responsible use of the earth resources. And secondly, God says that we have sent you forth as nothing but mercy to people of the entire universe. This chapter Al-Anbiya, verse 107. It encapsulates this notion, highlighting Islam's compassionate and holistic approach to all of creation. This concept extends beyond the human realm, encompassing animals, plants, and even the seemingly inert elements of the earth. In light of this teaching, Muslims are urged to approach environmental conservation with a sense of duty and reverence. Preserving balance within the nature or order is not just ecological concern, but also spiritual obligation. In conclusion, Islamic perspective on the environment emphasizes a harmonious relationship between humanity and the nature of the world. Recognizing the interconnectedness of all creation, Islam calls for the consciousness stewardship that goes beyond ecological considerations, echoing the profound truth that the earth is a trust given to humanity by the divine. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hayu. And please, Reverend Susan, if you'd like to read yours.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you to the organizers of the Faith Pavilion. It's so nice to have a space to gather in this year. And my perspective comes from the Christian tradition, and my first reading comes from the Jewish and Christian scriptures from Psalm 24, verses 1 and 2. The earth is the Lord's and all that is in it, the world and those who live in it. For he has founded it on the seas and established it on the rivers. And my second reading comes from the Jewish and Christian scriptures from the prophet Micah, chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God. There are any number of scripture passages that I could have chosen to share today as being meaningful to me in my work in caring for our sacred earth. Certainly the creation narratives, psalms that are expressing how all things, including mountains and rivers, sing praises to God, and stories Jesus told about how God cares for the vulnerable in society. The verses from Psalm 24 tell us that everything on earth is the Lord's, and that God has established all things that exist. But the reason that I turn to the scripture passage from Micah again and again is because it speaks to me in my heart, pointing us in the direction in which we should live our faith in the world. It asks, what does the Lord require of you? We may assume in our consumeristic society that God is looking for the best and the brightest of things, thousands of rams, 10,000s of rivers of oil, and even our firstborn. But the truth is that God looks upon our hearts to see if we are practicing justice, compassion, and humility. And what forms might these take? Working on behalf of those who are most vulnerable to climate impacts and environmental injustice. Caring for our sacred earth and all that inhabits it. And seeking to help others before we help ourselves. These are the blessings from the scriptures that I shared. Thanks be to God.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's very beautiful to see the similarities in both of those readings as well. And I hope that they have touched our audience as much as they have touched you. So thank you very much. And I would now like to ask the panel the question. What is the role of faith and places of worship in the transition to renewables? And I would like to ask Dr. Hannah first.
Thank you. So we need to shed the light on the profound significance of places of worship as dynamic hubs that extend far beyond traditional rules. Houses of worship have long served as beacons of spirituality, but their potential goes beyond religious practices. They are essential pillars that support not just our faith, but also our collective growth, alignment, and collaboration. Faith and worship places play a pivotal role in enhancing sustainability and facilitating the transition to renewable energy through a combination of spiritual influence, community engagement, and advocacy for ethical practices. As we all know, all faith traditions emphasize the moral responsibility to be stewards of the environment. Places of worship can draw on these spiritual teachings to instill a deep sense of reverence for nature and the imperative to protect it. This spiritual foundation provides a compelling motivation to adopt sustainable practices and renewable energy solutions as expressions of their faith commitments. Places of worship can also serve as educational hubs within communities. Faith leaders can educate congregants about the environmental impacts of fossil fuels and the benefits of transitioning to renewable energy. Workshops, study groups can be employed to raise awareness and promote collective understanding of the importance of sustainability in alignment with faith values. Places of worship can start to initiate the demonstration of their values by incorporating renewable energy solutions within their facilities. This approach will not only reduce their carbon footprint, but also serve as visible samples of the faith community's dedication to sustainable living. The transition, as we all know, the transition to renewable energy is most effective when it involves the entire community. Places of worship can act as catalysts for collective action, encouraging the community to adopt sustainable practices in their homes and workplaces. In summary, the role of faith and worship places in enhancing sustainability and the transition to renewable energy is comprehensive. It involves drawing on spiritual foundations, educating communities, embodying values through sustainable practices, fostering collaboration, and advocating for a broader systematic change. By integrating these elements, faith communities can contribute significantly to the global movement toward a more sustainable and environmentally conscious future.
Thank you, Dr. Hannah. Very well said. And we are now going to go to Susan.
Yes, thank you. Oh. Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Hannah. Beautiful words. The place that I'd like to begin is by suggesting that while there are many examples in society of local governments, businesses, universities, and individuals transitioning to renewable energy, I believe that the reasoning behind this shift varies from that of faith communities. We may, for example, see that some of these public entities are looking only at the return on investment and how adopting renewable energy will help their financial bottom line in the long run. For faith communities, however, I believe that this decision relates more to their spiritual values. The why, the purpose, has to do with how they are called to live in the world as caretakers of creation. If we are called to take care of our sacred earth and those who are most vulnerable in our world, which I believe resonates across religious and spiritual traditions, then how do we steward the gifts that we have been given? Do we pollute the air, the water, and the soil, or do we live as lightly upon the earth as possible? With the decision to become more energy efficient, adopt renewable energy systems, and transition off of fossil fuels, faith communities serve as models for their members and for their communities. They also serve as inspiration for other places of worship, demonstrating that this transition can and should be undertaken by faith communities as a response to their calling by God. Lastly, by making this transition, they are demonstrating leadership to policymakers and government institutions. Faith communities are not asking governments to undertake something that they themselves are not already doing. and sometimes with much fewer resources. Interfaith Power and Light has been working with congregations in the United States to give tours to local and national members of government. For example, in North Carolina, Senator Tillis will visit and tour the Catholic Diocese of Charlotte to view their solar installations. And in Arkansas, a representative from Congressman Hill's office toured First Presbyterian Church to see their energy efficiency work, which has decreased their electric consumption by 22,000 kilowatt hours. By committing to the transition to zero carbon, faith communities are leading the way and serving as models of what we can achieve together.
Thank you, Reverend. And finally, Dr. Hayu.
Yeah. Faith and places of worship play a pivotal role in the transition to renewable energy, not only as symbols of spiritual devotion, but also as influential models for sustainable practices. The theoretical underpinning lies in the recognition of the intrinsic connection between environmental stewardship and religious teaching, fostering a sense of responsibility toward the earth. In practice, places of worship can serve as exemplars by incorporating renewable energy sources such as solar panels, wind turbines, and energy-efficient technologies. By adopting these eco-friendly practices, faith communities not only reduce their carbon footprint, but also inspire their congregations and surrounding communities to embrace sustainable living. The transition to renewable energy in places of worship aligns with the broader goal of promoting environmental consciousness within religious frameworks, creating a powerful synergy between faith-based values and the imperative of a greener, more sustainable future.
Thank you. And I really do like the theme that has come up in all of your contributions, where there is the ownership that comes at the community level, at the personal level, but then also the responsibility to help others and guide others into the same process. And I really, think that's very, very beautiful. And we'll now go on to talking about your organization's works. So if Dr. Hannah, you would like to begin?
Thanks a lot. So we'll start with Ummah for Earth. Ummah for Earth is a faith-based alliance. We recognize the critical nature of addressing climate change and emphasizes the importance of collective action. The alliance is driven by a commitment to highlight the human impact of climate change, advocating for those disproportionately affected by climate injustices. Ummah for Earth actively engages civil society organizations, individuals, and faith leaders, urging them to take swift climate action, while also calling upon decision makers and religious leaders to play a pivotal role in preserving lives. So since its establishment in 2020, the Alliance has experienced steady growth, currently comprising of 30 organizations worldwide and individual allies. The primary focus has been on empowering communities and supporting local and national environmental initiatives. Ummah for Earth strives to illuminate the intersection between Islamic faith and climate action, encouraging and assisting Muslims and others in raising their voices for well-being of our shared planet. Together, united under the banner of Ummah, there is a collective responsibility to safeguard the earth. The Alliance believes that by prioritizing equity, social justice, and climate justice, significant positive change can be achieved. Ummah for Earth remains dedicated to fostering a global movement that not only addresses the environmental challenges we face, but also promotes a harmonious relationship between faith and the imperative to protect our common home. In pursuit of our mission, Ummah for Earth has launched impactful initiatives, further solidifying our commitment to environmental stewardship within Muslim communities. One of our flagship endeavors involves greening the mosques, a comprehensive initiative aimed at transforming mosques into eco-friendly spaces. This initiative entails implementing sustainable practices within mosque infrastructure, energy usage, and waste management, fostering a more environmentally conscious and responsible approach to communal spaces. Additionally, Ummah for Earth recognizes the significance of pilgrimage and has worked with Global One to launch the second edition of the Green Hajj and Umrah app and guide, which focus on promoting eco-friendly practices during pilgrimages. The Green Hajj and Umrah app is more than just a tool. It's a game changer that combines spirituality with eco-friendly living during pilgrimages. We aim to make pilgrims more aware and inspired to be environmentally friendly. In summary, Ummah for Earth strives to forge a brighter future, fostering positive change for future generations through the principles of compassion, stewardship, and unity. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Hannah. If Dr. Hayu, you'd like to go next.
Thank you. The environmental crisis, including the climate crisis, is fundamentally a moral crisis. Humanity tends to view nature merely as a resource to exploit rather than as a vital entity that requires preservation for the sustenance of human life. Addressing the environmental crisis rooted in this moral dilemma requires a moral approach. Mosques serve as institutions for religious and moral guidance. They are not only merely places for ritual worship, but also serve as platforms for building and instilling virtuous values and life renewal for both present and the future. Enriching mosques cannot solely only rely on sermons. Real actions are needed to foster self-sufficiency in the face of climate crisis. Failing to seek alternative energy sources can lead to even greater harm, causing an energy crisis and, more severely, environmental damage for our generation and future ones. Islam urges us to leave a strong legacy, prompting most to explore the potential of renewable and eco-friendly energy as a facet of practicing worship in building a civilized society. Regarding the use of fossil fuels, scholars have formulated a legal source known as Sad Azaria. Imam Satibi defined it as an action initially beneficial but leading to harm. The use of fossil fuels is initially permissible but becomes discouraged and even prohibited when excessive usage causing environmental damage. Several alternatives of renewable energy sources are available, with one of the most popular being solar power plants. Solar power is not only abundant, but also environmentally friendly and cost-effective. Advanced countries predict that solar electricity will dominate global energy in this century, replacing the dominance of fossil fuel. Based on the experience from Solar Energy Indonesia and the Roof Solar Power Users Association, solar electricity technology is not only abundant, but also can reduce electricity bill through the net metering grid system. This system allows MOS to sell excess solar electricity to the grid during the day and retrieve electricity from the grid when needed at night. Through this technology, community funds can be optimized to enrich MOS while avoiding the harm of an energy and environmental crisis. Ummah for Earth, through their Green MOS initiative, has studied the potential social, environmental, and financial impact of installing solar panel system at 10 major mosques around the world, including the National Mosque of Indonesia, Istiqlal. Their work harness the potential that the Ummah has to be part of the solution, not only through the direct environmental benefits of solarizing this mosque, but also because of their potential to influence people to become environmentally aware and environmentally friendly. Thank you.
Okay, now Dr. Fakhruddin, who couldn't be with us today, will be joining us through a video recording. And if I may ask thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The house of worship can be a place of learning about environmentally friendly building and collective awareness of nature as God creation. It is the time, for example, for a villagers or community to get environmental and climate change sermons. There is two important messages in every Jum'ah that the khatib or prayer message the worshipper. One, the necessity of doing justice, al-adl. Second, the necessity of doing good, al-ahsan. In the book Last Generation that I wrote, I explained that the Quran gives a message that humans should maintain balance or al-mizan and then do not disrupt harmony of the earth. With Ummah for Earth and within the role of places of worship as center of education and best practices, we are supporting the Eco-Islamic Boarding School or Eco-Pesantren program. The program is strategy to improve the quality of Islamic education, to create a green, independent, and environmentally friendly Islamic boarding school communities. We are currently working with 50 registered schools with 76,000 students in Indonesia. All Eco-Pesantren school program have place of worship or mosque within their infrastructure and curriculum. They synergize Islamic religious teaching and science about nature and the environment to answer the challenge that facing in our planet. One focus of the program is set to spark an renewable energy revolution. Renewable energy solutions are being piloted in Pesantren Darul Afkar in Ujung Kulon, Banten, just 3 weeks ago, and will be rolled out in all boarding schools. Schools are ideally suited to solar energy as their strategy usage in highest during school hour during the day of when the sun is shining. It is hoped that young generation of Muslims will grow, will have the ability to realize the message of Islam, which bring grace and harmony and balance for al-mizan of resource on this earth. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Thank you.
much. And finally, we have Reverend Susan.
Yes, I believe I have some slides coming.
Could we get the slides back up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. What am I pointing this at? There we go. Okay. So Interfaith Power and Light, our mission is to inspire and mobilize people of faith and conscience to take bold and just action on climate change. And we work with people of faith and all spiritual traditions with a vision of a stable climate where humans live in right and just relationship, interconnected with a healthy, thriving natural world. So we have been working with many congregations across the U.S. to set a goal of zero emissions or zero carbon. And what this means for us is no emissions from fossil fuels to heat, cool, or power congregational facilities and the activities that take place there. A building must be all electric and get those electrons from renewable sources. For example, a building could install heat pumps to heat and cool the buildings and solar to power the heat pumps. So as we work with congregations, we actually give them some goals. So obviously the first thing is to set the goal, as we said. The second thing we advocate for is to form a green team. We feel like it's easier to work with other people and to build momentum within a congregation. We encourage them to write a mission statement to say what is that they plan to achieve. What is your mission for this goal? We also encourage them to bring in the leadership. That could be clergy, faith leaders, religious leaders, also, boards of faith communities, other leadership within the faith community, because we know the more we can get the leadership involved, the easier it will be to actually accomplish the mission that you've set for yourself. We encourage faith communities to get an energy audit, so to actually go through and identify what their energy use is at this moment in time, what is the snapshot for that, and then to create an action plan with a timeline. So the timeline needs to be there because we need them to make sure that they're setting timely goals for themselves. And then finally, we encourage them to complete the plan and educate others. So we're going to be seeing an example from St. Martin's Episcopal Church pretty soon, so I'll skip over that. But we also look at, once you've done that, what else can you do? We've been working with congregations to become resiliency hubs for their communities so that during extreme weather conditions, power outages, they can be a source of refuge, store medications in refrigerated facilities, and so on. These were supposed to not be in here. Hold on. We're also telling folks in the U.S. that the Inflation Reduction Act right now has federal funding for energy work at houses of worship. So for folks in the U.S., we can help you access those resources, and we have resources on our website here where you can access some of that information. And also congregational solar resources and a solar directory of congregations in the U.S. So I would encourage you, if you have questions, to reach out to Sarah, our program director. She's been doing a beautiful job on this work and would love to share more with faith communities in the U.S. and how they can access all of this. Thank you.
So thank you very much for sharing all of your organization's work. And we do have a video that we'd love to show you about St. Martin's Episcopal Church. Though we did receive a 10-minute warning and the video is 7 minutes long. So I would like to actually ask Dr. Hannah to go forward with her final contribution. So we make sure we have time for that. And my question would be to please provide recommendations to individuals to get started on their fossil-free journey and environmental stewardship journey.
Sure. So embarking on a transition journey, personal or organizational, is a transformative experience. It's about aligning our values and aspirations with a vision for a more fulfilling and sustainable future. Initiating this journey involves more than just a switch in energy. It's a holistic approach encompassing education, community involvement, and re-evaluation of our relationship with the environment. The journey involves a blend of awareness, engagement, and practical steps to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. By undertaking this transition, places of worship can become dynamic hubs for fostering a deeper connection between faith, sustainability, and communal responsibility. To embark on a successful transition journey, organizations should begin by conducting comprehensive self-assessment, identifying goals, and outlining a clear roadmap. Prioritize collaboration, invest in relevant training and education, and stay adaptable to emerging trends. In the face of global environmental challenges, the transition to renewable energy has become a pressing priority for communities and organizations worldwide. Places of worship as central hubs of community life have a unique role to play in spearheading this transition toward sustainability. A few recommendations for individuals. We need, as individuals, to engage in self-reflection and education to gain a deeper understanding of our identity, values, and aspirations. We could read books, attend workshops, and connect with mentors to expand our knowledge and perspectives. We need to build meaningful relationships with supportive individuals and communities that share the same interests and values. We have to start making conscious choices that minimize our environmental impact, reduce consumption, support sustainable practices and sustainable businesses, and advocate for environmental protection initiatives. Transition is a holistic approach that encompasses education, community engagement, and environmental stewardship. By adopting these recommendations, organizations and individuals can embark on a transformative journeys that foster personal growth, community empowerment, and sustainable future. Together, we can transform these spaces into cornerstones of a harmonious, enlightened, and environmentally conscious society. So let us here today commit to making our transitions journey a beacon of hope, progress, and positive change. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. We have 3 minutes. I would like to ask the tech support to play a few minutes of this video, because this church is called St. Martin's Episcopal Church in Davis, California. It's recognized in the cool congregation of the Interfaith Power and Light Network, and I love the name, by the way. And yeah, if we can just roll this fossil-free place of worship. Thank you.
And welcome, Fossil-Free Zones. I'm the Reverend Pamela Dolan, rector of the Episcopal Church of St. Martin in Davis, California. Come on in. St. Martin's is a parish in the Episcopal Diocese of Northern California. That means that we're part of the larger Episcopal Church as well as the worldwide Anglican Communion. The story of our decision to become fossil-free began several years ago when we installed our first solar array. There was generally agreement about moving toward being solar-powered, but some other measures, such as replacing all of our gas appliances, were a little bit more controversial. But a turning point came in late 2016 when the HVAC system in this sanctuary failed. People had to come to church bundled up against the cold while we took time to research the most energy-efficient replacement options. And ultimately, we decided to switch entirely to a heat pump system. By the time I joined the parish in 2017, there was a growing momentum to free ourselves from fossil fuels. The whole issue was now being seen as more of a moral and religious duty, and we knew we had to do anything it was in our power to do. The final practical steps were replacing a gas water heater and adding a third solar array, which was donated by a parishioner. Our power comes from 2 solar panels we have on our buildings, plus the solar carport here in our parking lot. We're not yet using batteries for storage, so we are somewhat dependent on the local electric company. However, we do generate more power than we use, so we're seeing significant cost savings. So to be honest, we still have work to do. For instance, in our kitchen, it's used 3 times a week to make community meals for people in need, which is a core part of our mission as a church. However, it uses a big gas stove, and sooner or later we're going to need to replace that with an electric model. There are also still things we could do with our landscaping to make it more climate friendly. One of my favorite ideas is that we get rid of the riding mower, and instead we'll have sheep or goats come graze here on our lawn. Part of what I love about the Anglican tradition is that it is open to the insights of mystics as well as the lessons science has to teach us. We believe that scripture, tradition, and reason are all sources of authority. More and more, these different ways of understanding the world seem to be pointing us in the same direction, towards seeing that everything is profoundly interconnected. So to me, it doesn't even make sense anymore to talk about people and the environment. There's no way that we are separate from the earth, the air, the water, and even the stars. Our bodies are made up of trillions of microorganisms, outnumbering our human cells by more than 10 to 1. So the basic vocation of human beings, as discovered in the Bible, is to care and tend for the earth.
All right, I think that means our time is up. Sorry we had to cut this video short, but thanks a lot for allowing our team to visit this place. It's a really wonderful emerging fossil-free zone. And just a really big thank you to all of you for coming here and sharing your perspectives on the issue. Thanks a lot to all of you in the audience for being here and sharing the space with us. And most importantly, thank you to the Faith Pavilion, and if you're watching, Eugenia back home, our colleague who organized and put this whole session up. A really big thanks to you too. So, take care.
Thank you very much. I learned so much about what different faith communities are doing for fossil-free places of worship. It was immensely interesting. I would like to announce that we will now have a transition break before we start our